So if you're looking to purchase a property and you've always got something holding you back, this video is for you. Now, I've worked in many different investment industries over the years, and there's one big difference between investors who make money and a big difference in investors who don't. Simple. The ones who make money are long-term thinkers. The ones who don't are short-term thinkers. So what does short-term thinking do? Well, it simply means you put obstacles in the way based on the here and the now. And more often than not, the here and the now, they're actually small minor issues, but when you start to think about them, they become bigger and they become huge negatives that you can't overcome. Let's wind back 8 years, because the reality is we've got to look at what minor issues were 8 years ago, which we thought were major at the time. It would have actually been a perfect time to buy property 8 years ago, and we have still got clients on our books who wanted to invest 8 years ago and they still haven't as of today. The average property price 8 years ago was £200,000. Now, the time of recording this video, which is October 2023, the average property price is £280,000, meaning that over an 8-year period, you've actually made just over 40% in growth alone. Now, of course, you've got to take your income into that as well. The average income at the time was 7% and rent has only increased during this period. But look, let's stick with 7% over that 8-year period. That's an extra 56% worth of income. And of course, if you add the income and the growth together, you would have doubled your money. That's a 100% return on your money. Now, we still have potential investors on our books, as I say, that didn't buy at the time. They're still looking and their mindset genuinely won't change. They cannot get out of that mindset. However, let's look at how we change yours. The reality is why didn't they invest? Well, let's look at what we see as minor now, things like Brexit, things like COVID, and let's look back at what they done to us at the time. Because everyone says, but what if? For example, in 2016, the big what if moment was Brexit. So what if Brexit happens? What if we have a hard Brexit and house prices crash? Reality is this is what was being reported in the papers, even from the Bank of England, but it just didn't materialise. The Brexit excuses actually went on for years to come. Then we had 2019, the general election. Clients would state, but what if the general election changes the direction of the property prices? Again, it didn't happen. They actually called it the Boris bounce when it actually dramatically jumped. And in 2020, we had the excuse of COVID, because everyone thought no one's going to leave their house again and the property prices are going to crash. Again, the papers fueled this, and what happened? The COVID lasted for a good couple of years, but in those couple of years, property prices absolutely boomed. Now we've got inflation and interest rate rises, so many clients are using this as their what if moment. But what if interest rates remain high? What if inflation remains high? People can't afford to live. The reality is life goes on. But if there was going to be a crash, wouldn't that have happened already? We've pretty much been through the worst. However, despite all of these reasons over the last 8 years, we've actually proven that you could have made 100%, doubling your money. So if you didn't think about those issues at the time and you simply thought 8, 10, 15 years in advance, you wouldn't have thought about the minor issues at the time, because that's what they are now. COVID becomes minor. COVID now is a common cold. At the time it was a pandemic. So what do you need to do? Well, you need to change your mindset starting from today. Stop thinking about what you're reading in the papers. Stop thinking about what you're looking at online, and open your mind to long-term thinking. You've got to ask yourself the 3 following questions. 1, do you want to make money, or more money I should say, than you're making now? That's the first question. Secondly, do you have enough money to invest? And thirdly, do you need a mortgage broker? And if so, have you spoken with one? If the answers to the above are correct, and yes, you do have enough money, yes, you want to make more money, and yes, you've got your mortgage broker in play, or you're a cash buyer, there's no time like the present to buy it. Because as we've stated, the reality is wind forward 10 years and the property prices are going to pretty much probably double over the next decade, again, despite what people are thinking about the short term. And the reality is you're going to get regular income on that as well. But what I'm going to say to you as well is, if you buy now and the market dips by 5% or even 10%, doesn't matter. You're going to make that back in income alone. The property price could go up by 5%. It could go up by 10%. Again, don't worry about the here and now. It's 10 to 15 years planning that we want to look at. When many people are investing, they feel that they're actually more at risk when they're investing. In fact, the opposite is true. You're at risk if you don't invest. Why? Because assets typically increase in price more than what your inflation rate does. So if your money is in savings at the moment and you're making 2% on your savings rates, but inflation is at 5-6%, you're losing 4% a year. Your money is at risk because it's getting eroded by inflation. Stop stalling, start planning for your investment future, and start thinking long term.